to start with the arm straight, and at the last minute, just before you're going to let the arrow go, bend your arm slightly and lock it. You must not let your arm go back like that, or the arrow will go left. You have to lock this arm solid, and this is the only thing that moves, your fingers letting the arrow go here. So if you have a problem with your arm coming outwards, as 1 in 3 people have, you've got to hold it straight to start with when you aim, and then at the last moment bend and lock slightly and then release, but don't let this arm come forward. The next piece of safety equipment is the tab, this piece of leather. And in my case it goes the shiny side towards me, 2 fingers through those little holes, and this protects these 3 fingers here. So, like this. And the arrow will go in between here like this. So the string is going to come along this piece on my fingertips only, not in the joint of the fingers. That's very important. I'll explain that later. And then when the string's let go, it won't hurt our fingertips. I'm going to mention safety over and over again because it's so important. We have the basic line where the camera is that nobody should come in front of unless they're actually going to be shooting. So other archers waiting or the public stay behind this line. Then you, the archers, come forward and you get into a line facing the arrows. You don't face the target, you face the arrows. You don't touch the bows or the arrows until your teacher says you're ready, or all of you professionally are going to pick it up at once. So we pick up the bow when we're all ready. Nobody then faces a bow towards the other person, because if somebody's there, you'd be facing an arrow towards their bum. Not a good idea. We face the bow immediately towards the target. Now if you pick up an arrow and you make a mistake and you drop it, leave it there. Don't pick it up. If you go forward of the line, you've moved from the line. Nobody should move from the line at all until everybody's finished shooting. This is vital. You leave it there, you take the next arrow. When everybody's finished, they put the bows down. Each person as they finish puts the bow down like that, so the sight isn't in the grass. You can have a little hook that sticks into the ground if you want and leave it like that. You put the bow down, you wait for the other person to finish. When they've all finished, they wait for you, then you can pick your arrow up and then you can fire it. When everybody's done, we say bows down, we make sure all the bows are down, in front and behind, then we can walk forward to get the arrows. Don't run forward, because the arrows could be stuck in the ground like that, and you will hit your leg on them. So walk forward carefully, and I'll show you how to take the arrows out of the target in a moment. So we're standing in this position, we pick up the bows, all of us at the same time, and immediately face it towards the target or the butt. We can reach the arrows here. We don't need to move again at all. We feet stay in the same position at 90 degrees to the target. We're going to have our arm up like that to the target. Most of the terms in archery still come from the old medieval terms. The techniques we're using and parts of the arrow still come from the old medieval terms, like cock feather. So a medieval term for saying stop, if there's an emergency, stop, it's fast. You might think fast means let arrows go even faster. It doesn't. It means hold fast. So the old medieval term for stopping was hold fast. So you would, if somebody says fast, then you put your bow down. If you had an arrow in that position, you would take the arrow out, put it back, and then put the bow down. In our case, I normally in lessons say stop. And if I say stop, then immediately you take the arrow out, put the bow down. You remain where you are, remember. You don't move about. If you get excited or do something stupid, the other people are at risk. So all the time, safety. Always the bow pointed towards there, and it's unloaded and then straight down here. You don't walk around with the bow. Another thing you never do is to pull a bowstring back and let it go without an arrow in it, because there's so much power released from the bowstring into the bow that it can actually smash the bow. It needs the arrow against it. So these are things you don't do. Start twanging bows or playing around with them. They are dangerous instruments, like an unloaded gun, with an arrow even worse. Well, next now then, we have to go on to how to actually fire the arrows. Right, we're now standing at right angles to the target, so the target is at that angle to me. We don't stand facing the target, and the bow is up towards the target. So we bring the bow up at the horizontal, and we place the arrow over the top with the cock feather, the single coloured feather, at the top, remember. Here's where the arrow is going to go, facing slightly downwards. I've marked the string already, and the bow is pointing slightly upwards, so that when I clip the arrow on, it stays there. I don't have to hold it on with my finger or thumb. If you do at all, then use your finger, but take it away as soon as you can. If you rest it like that, the arrow shouldn't fall off. Next, we bring the hand underneath like this, and have the leather, this is the tab, in between the string and our fingers like that. So the leather goes between our fingers and the string like this. First of all, grip the arrow so, and then slide down the arrow to the string. If you don't do that, this is what will happen. You pull the string off the arrow. So we grip the arrow lightly first. The arrow goes on, just onto the arrow rest up here, fingers around the arrow, grip it and slide back to the string. Right, having got that position, we then draw the bow back under our armpit and we're ready to bring the bow up. Now the next part you have to get right is having your thumb positioned correctly. Next and most important thing for target archery is getting your thumb in the right position. The temptation when you draw the string back is to do that because of the pressure on your hands. We're going to use just our fingertips to bring the string back, and we're going to have the thumb in this position so it's parallel with the top of the hand, like that. Bent, tight into the hand, and parallel. Okay? So that has to come underneath my chin, just here, dead in the centre. So when I draw the string back, it comes like this, here. So you bring the string back under your armpit like this, then bring the bow to the vertical, and your thumb should be just here tucked under your chin and the string on my nose. I'll show you that from the side. So we bring the string back under the arm, bring the bow to the vertical, my nose goes onto the string, and this knuckle joint here doesn't come up like that, it stays down, comes underneath my chin in the centre. And if I do that every single time, just there, and I get that sight there on the gold, then I know I'm going to be dead centre and the same every time. Let me show you how that should look through the camera. So now the viewfinder should be dead on your eye, dead in the middle of the camera, and you'll be looking at my eye through it, and you see my thumb underneath my chin. Obviously I can't draw the bow right out to show you how to let go of the string because it could damage the bow. So I'm going to hold the bow in close and just show you. When we let go of the string, you're in this position. The string is on the end of your nose, your hand is here. And you pluck the string, you see, with the fingertips and the leather in between, and you come parallel with the arrow backwards along your throat. So I release along my throat. If I do this, the arrow is going to go left. If I do that, the arrow is going to go upwards. It's very important that when you release, you pluck along your neck in line with the arrow for this particular method. That's the target method. We'll show you the longbow later. So we'll start and we'll do the whole thing in one session. We put the arrow on top of the string, we place it in the arrow rest facing upwards. My hand comes underneath, grips the arrow lightly with the tab in between, comes back to the string, push out straight, keep that shoulder straight, my head along my shoulder like that, draw back under my armpit, my thumb into my chin tightly, come to the vertical, and then pluck along my neck. So we do it again, bow upwards, onto the string, leave it there, hand underneath, grip the arrow lightly, come back to the string, arm out straight, thumb in tight, underneath my chin, put it on the gold, and there, smack in the middle of the gold. So the arrow onto the string, onto the bow, hand underneath, always facing towards the target. If anything goes wrong even now, that's dead in the gold from there. If anything goes wrong even now, you say how dangerous, even if I let go accidentally, you're pointing the correct way. So do it again properly, grip the arrow, draw back, come to the vertical, and then just let go of it. As simply as that. When you've finished, don't let the bow come down. As you let go of the arrow, keep that on target. Don't think you finish when you let go. Hold it there, keep that left hand still, and release along your throat. If that sight is still on the target when you've let go of the arrow, then you're not doing much wrong as long as the release is correct. If you go like this or this, because of the tension, your arrow is going to go somewhere else. So you've finished your arrows, you say, I've got one left here. You put the bow down like this, and then we walk up to get the arrows. Now to take the arrows out, we walk up to the target. One person only takes the arrows out, because if not, you're liable to somebody standing here to take them. You go like that, and you'll catch somebody in the eye and have an eyeball on the end of your arrow. That's not funny, is it? So when we pull the arrows out, we pull them out and drop them on the ground and pick them up afterwards. One person pulls them out. To do this, you put your hand against the target face like this. You bring your hand right down the arrow, not here, you'll bend or break the arrow, right down the arrow to touch your hand, push with this hand, pull with that, and the arrows come out easily. Just drop them on the ground, and then afterwards we pick them all up and share them out. Obviously your arrows should be of different sorts so that you recognise your own arrows. Now on scoring, let's work from the centre of the target outwards, or the centre of the butt outwards, from the gold as it's called in the centre to the outer white. The GNAS method of scoring is to go 9, 7, 5, 3, 1 from the centre outwards, and the FITA, the fitter method, is to do 10 to 1, so 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 4, 3, 2, 1. So that's the highest. If you break a colour, say you're just on that line, or just on this line, you are allowed the highest points. So if you just break the yellow and the red, you're allowed the yellow, which is a gold in this case. It's not called a bullseye, it's called a gold in the butt. And we take the higher score if we break the colour.